But they were teasing us so much. Arsenal were teasing us Gooners so much with, when are we going to announce our signing, when are we not? Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans podcast with me, Luce. I hope you're all good. I hope you're as good as I am, because honestly, it feels like a pinch me moment. I feel like I haven't actually stopped smiling from what we witnessed yesterday, looking back at the season as a whole. Like, if I'm being completely honest, as an Arsenal fan and a Lioness fan, I don't actually think I'm ever going to be able to top this season. The fact that we became champions of Europe at club level and also champions of Europe again at country it's actually crazy that this has happened. Like, I think this is my favourite season of life. This is my favourite season I've ever witnessed in football. And I just want it to carry on forever. I mean, this is why, if you're watching on YouTube right now, you'll see I've got my little Arsenal crochet top that my sister made, which is so lots, on Instagram or TikTok. And then I've also got my little England bucket hat. Obviously, the only really red English bit of memorabilia I've got, but I wanted to have red to keep it with the theme of Arsenal, obviously. But I thought I'd include that. So this is the only time that I'm going to show my country's bias as well as club bias on this channel. But I just feel like, what a time to be a Gooner that supports the Lionesses. What a time to be an English Gooner. Do you get me? Like, this is actually mental that any of this has happened. There's going to be no warm-up poll, because I actually feel like not only has this happened, there's also been massive news for Arteta's side, because we finally have our striker. I just feel like this week has topped it. I think, obviously, I did a podcast like 3-4 days ago. I feel like I'm actually shouting that I'm this passionate and this enthusiastic about what's going on right now. So sorry if you're a headphone user, whether you're listening on Spotify or watching on YouTube, I'm very sorry. But yeah, I just thought I can't do a warm-up poll because we've finally got our striker for the men's side. The Gunners have outperformed themselves, outdone themselves by lifting another trophy for the Lionesses. We obviously had 7 in the final, 1 for Spain, 6 for England, and obviously England came out on top. And the Gunners were a massive reason for that. And I just feel like the fixtures for the WSL season has been released. And I'm so excited. It's got me in the mood for the season. I'm so excited. And then also with the men, our pre-season run so far, our friendlies have been pretty good. I'm impressed with both the new signings, some youngsters, also the players we've had for ages, the experiences showing. I feel so excited about the club as a whole. And yeah, I just feel so happy. So I decided not to do a warm-up poll because I don't want to ask you guys a question when right now, for me anyways, this is going to be one of the most subjective and emotion-led episodes I've done, because I don't want to talk about all the tactics in and out of how England won it or what Arsenal are doing right now, but I just want to focus more on how this is going to build morale at Arsenal and why, this is just such a good time to be engaged in sport, especially if you're an Arsenal fan, especially if you're an England fan, specifically the women's side. So, yeah, I feel great. I hope you guys are just as good as I am, just as bubbly. I don't even know where I meant to start with this. I feel like there's like four subheadings that we can get through, and you know what, I wanted to save it till last because I feel like this is such a big thing for us, but I'm going to start with it. I've already led into it a bit in the intro, but the Lionesses won the Euros again. It didn't come home, it stayed home. And the reason why I'm chatting so much on here, not just because obviously I am English, I've been a fan of England, supported them since I was born, raised in an English family. Didn't expect England to win silverware really growing up. I'd be sat watching the foot with my dad. Saw progression, but didn't really see us get into that point. And then suddenly, we've been in 3 consecutive finals. The women have. The men have also reached finals as well. But the women have got it over the line twice, 2 times out of these 3 finals. And we've won the Euros twice. This is crazy. So crazy. But why I want to highlight this is because I want to highlight all the Gunners. I mean, there were 7 Gunners in this final. We had Marina Caldencia, and yes, she played for Spain, and yes, Spain ended up losing. But she was the reason that they had that chance of getting it to extra time, getting it to those penalties, because she scored in the 90 minutes. Beautiful header. It's that sort of vibe. You know, when you're at the right place at the right time, it pretty much was that moment for her. And not even just the goal, but her leading up to that moment. She's just so good on and off the ball, ticky-tacky football. I mean, that's what Spain's very much known for. Quick feet, quick passes. The way that they can work and operate in such tight spaces as well, and always be able to feed the ball through and find those gaps. I think, yeah, Lionesses, they had their fair share of challenges playing Spain, and I was optimistic. If you ask anyone, the people I was with yesterday, I was like, yeah, we're going to do it, we can do it. Not everyone was that optimistic, but I just felt like because Wiegman somehow got it over the line in the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, when everyone thought, why are we going to extra time? Why are we going to penalties? What is going on? The fact that we ended up doing the exact same storyline this time, and then it was Chloe Kelly, who obviously represents Arsenal as well. So yeah, obviously I just wanted to briefly mention Mariana Cardente. She did end up missing a penalty in the penalty shootout, but she got Spain to that point anyway, so I feel like, you know, credits given where credit's due. But moving on to the Lionesses, who obviously came out victorious, and I don't even know which gunner to start with first, because I feel like they all had their fair share. You know what, I think I'm going to start with Russo, because I think Russo has been a player this tournament that has been a bit overlooked. I think same with how Ellen White was in the 2022 Euros when we last brought it home, which is mad that we brought it home twice. But when we last brought it home, I feel like when you're the striker that you might not necessarily get the goal, but you help set up, you help tire out those defenders basically. I feel like you don't get enough credit. And what Russo does off the ball, she didn't stop. She does not stop working, and I'm so happy that she was the one to get that goal to equalise it for us and take us through to that extra time, and then inevitably into the penalties that we obviously ended up winning. But I'm just so happy that Russo was able to finally get it over the line. I know obviously she scored before, but she also scored a couple of times and they were offside, and what a game to show, what a game to score in, and she thoroughly deserved it. Yeah, I just think the timing of the substitutes as well that Wiegman had, the other games had been a little bit questionable. She left it quite late, whereas she brought on Adjumang at an earlier stage, and I think it was quite good because you could tell that Russo had worked so hard. She was sprinting everywhere, and when she came off, it felt like the right time, because otherwise you just know that she would have been a bit slower and she wouldn't have been able to be as clinical and as crucial as she was, and bring on the fresh legs like Adjumang. Adjumang doesn't stop running either, so I think it was a great substitute. And as much as they operate in completely different ways, I feel like it really worked with the team and the direction of the game. Moving on, obviously, to Adjumang, because I've just mentioned she came on. She is unreal. I've mentioned before in another podcast that she is my favourite lioness, and yeah, I think it's hard to have a favourite lioness, to be honest, because I feel like they're all so great in their own way, their different qualities. But I just think for Adjumang, at such a young age, and the fresh energy she brings, but also how humble she comes across. I mean, she won the young player of the tournament, which was so deserved. And I'm so happy she got it. And her little walk up with all the other lionesses cheering her, creating a little path for her. I just love that, her little personality, her little bit of flair there. But also you can tell she's so humble. Obviously in her post-match interviews when she was being asked questions, you could just tell she was so respectful. And yeah, everything about her, I think her story, the narrative of being a ball girl 4 years ago for the Lionesses and now scoring twice in a major tournament at the age of just 19 and basically saving your nation, what she has done is inspiring. And I think also she's gonna be a lioness that we're gonna be looking at for years and years to come. This is just the start for Adjumang. This is just the start. So I'm very excited for her. I mean, there's a few more players to get through, but Chloe Kelly, going chronologically with the big moment of at the end, the very last kick, it had to be Chloe Kelly. We saw it happen in 2022 and how she was the one to score that she managed to get a touch. Yes, it looked a bit messy, but it went in the net in 22. She ran around with that iconic celebration, waving her top around. And then this time she went with a slightly calmer approach, I want to say. Obviously scored her penalty, and the way she does her penalty, it's so unique and it's so distinctive to her that I've seen so many TikToks of everyone recreating that. Oh, now I'm just going to walk around with my leg up and stuff like that. And it's just I love how it's so distinctive to her. Like, everyone recognises this movement based off her penalty. She's put the Lionesses on the map again, like once again. I mean, all the Lionesses did, but she has become that household name, and she did back in 2022, and it's the same thing again. It's so good to see more people watch it. I think, to be fair, I feel like that's the only difference between these tournaments. Last time it was change was happening because you just felt that shift, like as a nation, people actually tuning in and watching women's football. Whereas this time it was like, okay, yeah, we're still here, like we're still doing this, and it just solidified everything of how the Lionesses are obviously the best in Europe. But yeah, her penalty, she did it again. She saved us. She brought it home again. So I'm very happy she is one of our own. And I just loved in the post-match how she literally said, "Thanks to everyone who wrote me off. I'm so grateful." And I think that really summarises how her season just switched. It just turned around. She wasn't even going to make the Lioness squad, to be honest. And then somehow she ended up, Slager's taking her on loan. She won the Champions League with Arsenal, and then she ended up winning the European Championship with the Lionesses once again. And if you look at her like 6 months ago where she was, it's just so crazy how life can just switch and change. And I think exactly what she said, it's so good. If anything, the haters probably gave her more motivation. So I'm very happy for her. Very, very happy. I also think Leah Williamson, obviously, she's the captain. She had a great game. And she's the first England captain to win overseas. So I feel like the fact that we're just saying all these different accomplishments, not only are the Lionesses the first of all these things, now we're repeating history and we're becoming the second to win the Euros. We've become the second for all these things as well. So it's really good that we're making these firsts, we're making these seconds, and I'm excited to see what we can do in years to come. I think also Beth Mead, she's so good. When she came on, she's just very solid, and we needed her as well. And I think it's really nice how you see all the post-match interviews. She comes across so well, and obviously everything she says about her mum and how she's doing it for her, alongside Ella Toone, who's obviously doing it for her dad, who recently passed away in the last year. I just think it's a really sweet touch how they tribute their goals or anything towards them. And also quite funny how like Beth Mead and Ella Toone, they're all taking the mick out of Beth Mead's penalty because obviously she slipped, it went in, and then obviously because she slipped, they had to redo it again and she missed. But luckily that didn't affect it because Chloe Kelly banged it in with her iconic penalty. So, can't complain. And then the final player, Lotte Wiebenmoy, is a player that we didn't actually see get onto the pitch, but I think when you look at the 23-player squad, they all do their bit. The players that play on the pitch wouldn't be as good as they are if they didn't have those players every day of that summer, like the 5, 6, probably 7 weeks actually, that they're out there training every single day, and Lotte Wiebenmoy would have raised the stand for them. And I think just being part of this squad in that group, the building up the morale basically, but also Lotte Wiebenmoy, I love how good she is with words, and I love how when she did her contract extension, she obviously did the voiceover, narrated it. We've recently found out, like across the tournament, that she's been doing little poems for each game for oppositions or for the team, and I think it's going to be really exciting to see what they all look like when they come together. So I'm excited to see what she does with that. So although it wasn't pitch related, she basically has put the pitch related action into words, so I'm very excited to see what happens. But yeah, overall, what a great start to this podcast, talking about the Lionesses winning the Euros and how a lot of the Arsenal players helped them out, so I'm very proud of them. Okay, just staying with Arsenal women for a moment, we did get the fixture release. Obviously, in the last episode, I was like, wouldn't it be cool if we played Chelsea in the first game, or we'd play like a new team, an underdog team like London City Lionesses. Didn't happen for Chelsea, but we did get London City Lionesses in our first game, and I'm actually really excited about that. We also got all the fixtures, so I've put them all in my calendar. They are on the Arsenal socials if you want to check out all the fixtures, but I'm not going to go into too much detail about the first game because I'll do that in a couple of weeks when I get back into the normal swing of how my normal structure looked like with the warm-up poll, then actually talking about the games that have happened, and then predicting the next one. So that will start up again pretty much in the next 2 weeks of the Premier League, and then the WSL will start in the next 3 to 4 weeks. So I'm excited about that. But I'm just actually really happy that we've got almost like the underdogs, because I think we can't underestimate them. It'll be a tough game, but I'm really excited to see what the London City Lionesses can offer. But we just need to make sure we get the 3 points either way, because I know we've fallen into the trap the last few seasons where the first few games we end up playing sides that on paper we should beat them easily. Like Everton, we ended up drawing at the Emirates. Liverpool, a couple of seasons ago, we ended up losing 1-0. These teams that we should be beating, but for some reason it doesn't quite add up. So I think, we need to work on that. But I am excited about that. Moving on to the men's side, but still sticking to the idea of fixtures and everything. We're obviously currently, Arsenal are competing in the preseason friendly tour, which is out in Asia. And on Sunday, so yesterday, so annoying it's always got to be the same time, but, well, not the same time, but the same day, they had their second fixture against Newcastle. Arsenal ended up winning 3-2, so obviously very good. I mean, it's not a great start for Newcastle, if I'm honest, because they lost, 4-0 against Celtic like a couple of weeks ago. So it's not looking great. But obviously Newcastle did go 1-0 up, which isn't great for us. But then we soon turned it around. Ended up being 3-2. Because obviously I was watching the Lionesses and the build-up and spending time with people to do with the women's game, I didn't get to actually watch this game once again. But I did watch it on the highlights from it. And one player that stood out that I feel like has been the talk of Arsenal from that game is Max Dowman, and Max Dowman is one of a kind. He is only 15 years old. He obviously did come on the pitch when we played AC Milan in the first one, and he proved to be quite promising in the midfield, but I think the game on Sunday really hyped up everyone thinking, okay, yeah, this kid has got something about him. And also, I mean, when you think about Waneri made his debut when he was just 15, and I reckon that obviously these are friendlies he's made his debut in, but I reckon we could see him in maybe not the Premier League in the next couple months, but I think we're more training with like the different age groups, the different academies. I reckon maybe a cup competition we could see him make his debut at the same age of 15, because he seems to be really promising. So I'm excited about that. And obviously it was good to see Marino get a goal, obviously assisted by Havertz, so it's good to see that partnership still working. And yes, we have signed a striker, which I'll get onto in a minute, but it's good to see that we do have a bit of squad depth in terms of the attacking players. And obviously Ødegaard getting a penalty. There was an own goal by Murphy, but Ødegaard got the penalty to just basically seal the 3-2 win. It just feels like Arsenal are in a good place ahead of the season. I'm excited to see what they can do. And it's good to see it's not just us relying on the same players, but we've got so many different options. The fact that we're even talking about 15-year-olds coming into the game, not just because we're having to rely on young players like other clubs are, but because we actually think, you know what, these players are promising, they can slot into these spaces and really benefit the team. So I'm very, very excited for that season to start, which actually, what's the date? We're literally a couple of days away from August, so it's actually in the next couple of weeks the Premier League will start, which is crazy. But the last thing I want to chat about, and to be fair, this has probably been the biggest thing that everyone who has been watching Arsenal in the Premier League has been literally frustratingly demanding, is a striker. And we've only gone and got our striker finally. It's taken how long? Like, honestly, let's not even be negative about it, because I think the fact that we have signed Viktor Gyokeres is just so encouraging for this squad depth. I mean, I've mentioned other players. We also did sign Christian Mosquera this week, which actually happened when I was editing my podcast on Thursday, so only a few days ago. I was editing and I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to include him in next week's episode. But the fact that we're getting all these players, it's so good for squad depth. But they were teasing us so much. Arsenal were teasing us Gooners so much with, when are we going to announce our signing, when are we not? But the fact that we announced him literally a couple of days ago, we also announced him to be the number 14, which for me, the first number 14 that popped into my head for whatever reason was Theo Walcott. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, Thierry Henry, obviously. And then you go on Instagram and socials and you see all the posts comparing them. And I don't want to put pressure on him, but I feel like Thierry Henry is obviously one of the best to have ever worn the Arsenal shirt. And the fact that we've put so much pressure on us finding an Arsenal striker, I think he's got big boots to fill, even more so now with the number that he's wearing, obviously being 14. But I am just very excited to see what he can do up top. I don't watch the Portuguese league too closely, so I can't tell you all the ins and outs of him. And I'm actually just kind of not wanting to look into it too much, because I want to see what he can offer our league and our squad. But But from what I have seen, the few highlights that I flicked through, he's such a solid player. Like, I think the physicality he has in the box, the minute he gets in the box, he's a finisher, and that is exactly what he needs. I mean, there was an interview with him in the car, and it was like saying, we're here to help you, like, whatever you need. And he said, all I need is assists. And I think with the supply that we've got so many key players on the wings for him, able to supply those balls. And we've got Declan Rice and Martin Ødegaard also in the middle, able to supply the balls. I think we've got a very strong side, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to get delusional and think we're going to win everything, but I do think we have such a good chance. I have a really good feeling about this season, and I did have quite a good feeling about last season and the season before, but this season just feels like we're more prepared. It's not just a feeling, it's actually, if you look at what we're doing, I've been talking to friends who support other clubs, and they're even saying, yeah, your squad depth looks good, you've got backups for certain players, and now we have our missing piece, which is a striker. Don't get me wrong, I don't think just having a striker means, oh, you're suddenly going to win the league, but I think the fact that we've got a striker and we've also got that squad depth in other positions, all of it coming together creates the perfect recipe. Yes, this was our missing ingredient, getting that striker, but we've now got the perfect recipe to go on and prove that we can get silverware. Whether we do or not, I think is down completely to the players. Also depends on how much pressure Arteta wants to put on them, because let me tell you, he is under so much pressure. I'm not the only Arsenal fan, and I know that for a fact, that thinks that if Arteta doesn't win the Premier League or Champions League this season, he's got to go. I don't know who I'd want to replace him with just yet, because I hope we don't get to that point. But I don't even think the FA Cup or the League Cup will cut it. I think we have been waiting for so long to get back up to the best that it needs to happen now. It needs to happen. So I'm hoping that with that news that we have Gyokeres finally. I mean, it was so inevitable. It kind of, all the rumours and everything, it basically ruined it the last 2 weeks. Like, we knew we had him, and then the medical happened, and we were like, when are Arsenal going to actually announce it? So it kind of did make the atmosphere, I'm a bit mixed when it comes to people creating rumours and gossiping about transfers. But we've got him, so that's all that matters. So I'm very optimistic about this season. So, yeah, got through quite a lot then. But for once, it was actually all positive. There was no negativity, really, about Arsenal this week. So what a good episode this has been. So before I carry on waffling on, although it's all positive, I'm just very grateful if you have watched this far. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, and also subscribe if you haven't. I really appreciate all the support I'm getting recently. And yeah, comment down below how you're feeling about being a Gooner right now. And if you're not a Gooner, I don't know why you're watching this far, because this is way too much positivity from an Arsenal fan. But I hope you also enjoyed, and comment down why Arsenal are doing so well right now. What's the secret? What's happening? I mean, for me, it's got to be the transfers, and obviously we're excelling overseas. So I'm just very happy. If you're listening on Spotify as well, please follow me over there. You can also like the video, give me a rating, and you can actually also comment over there, which is quite cool as well. So you can have your say basically on any platform. Also, my Instagram is luce.case, luce.case. If you did want to contribute into any warm-up polls, I didn't do one this episode, but I will be doing them again from next week. I felt like I didn't want to prioritise any individual thing that's happened, because there's a lot that's happened recently. But yeah, hope you're all good. Have a good week. I'm sure I'll be back in a few days with another episode. Because you never know, we could get even more signings. I don't know who, but we might even get more signings. So yeah, thanks for watching.